Antarctica is not only a frozen continent, but also fascinating and full of mysteries. It is the largest desert on the planet, and at the same time, the coldest and driest place on Earth. It's the only continent with no country. It's no wonder that the Southern Land, as it was called at the turn of the 19th century, has been explored for decades. Ever since I wrote the song, Robert Faulkner Scott, Ernest Henry, each on their own expedition set foot on the frozen continent. Therefore, it can be said that despite the frozen region being the object of research and studies, for more than a century, still holds many secrets and reveals mysteries that involve scientists and even entrepreneurs linked to the technology sector as Elon Musk, yes, the CEO of Tesla and other big companies, no, only cares about Mars. It's because, how could we think, Musk's mental horizon goes far beyond the colonization of Mars. Once there are matters relevant to life beyond Earth, artificial intelligence, pyramids, and the icy continents are also standing among his interests, but he always claimed one thing or another about Antarctica. And recently, he spoke about one
huge structure discovery
amid the ice, which surprisingly seems to be moving slowly but steadily. What can this structure be? A large block of ice moving through the snow-covered water? Maybe a mountain with a peculiar shape? Who knows? Or could it be something else, not yet part of our knowledge? Well, before trying to answer all that, I want you to know a bit more about the giant structures found on the continent and the scientists' conclusions. This bizarre structure is not and has never been the only object to cause strangeness in Antarctica. Google Earth itself, through satellite photos, contains a series of findings that as long as there is no way to approach these places or things, nothing can be assumed. For example, a structure 300 feet wide was discovered by chance while a user of Google Earth, virtually exploring Antarctica, the user identified as Mr. MBB333. That, by the way, already has a video about it here on the channel. Saw a mysterious and gigantic object in the middle of Antarctica, appearing to be completely out of place. He shouldn't be part of that landscape. The video of the inexplicable and unusual discovery generated a frenzy of speculation about its origins, from organs to natural phenomena. The fact is that the object has a peculiar shape, and it is dark, wearing the dominant and shining white of the continent. According to YouTube, cool, hey, my baby, 333. The object seems to measure something like 277 feet wide by 260 feet tall, and whatever it is. According to him, it seems the object was flying when it was captured by satellite cameras. He also said that the object was out of place. That is, it should not be part of the landscape. The YouTuber examined the object from different angles and showed signs of heat emitted by the object. Later, he pointed out another strange phenomenon nearby, pointing out another object that seems to be close. I went floating in the shadow, cast by an ice wall. The unidentified object appeared on Google Earth overlooking a purple landfill pit and reflecting it. To this day, it's unclear what this object really is. Some believers in extraterrestrial life claim it could be a spacecraft. There is a lot abandoned on the site for some reason. Others say the structure might be alien, but not necessarily a ship, rather a base, used by the visitors long ago. When they were here, skeptics believe it to be a natural structure, distinguished by the fact that it is not entirely covered by snow, when it should be, to further complicate the identification of any structure shown by satellite photos, that natural blizzards do occur that from time to time completely changes the landscape in the different regions of the continent. In another example of Antarctica's gigantism, researchers discovered a true ecosystem under the mighty ice layer and the existence of sedimentary life forms found at 900 meters high, of depth, that were previously considered naturally extinct and suffered the tasting. Say once and for all that Antarctica, despite its frozen surface, supports the life of different species in its depths. At the end of the year 2021,
A team of
North
crazy
American researchers found in the depths of the Whittier Sea, and that so far is considered the world's largest fish nursery. It's about
60 million
nests. Exactly. I didn't see that wrong. Please have a seat. Millions, spread over an area of 93 square miles.
Nests average 75 cents each.
Inches in diameter and 6 inches deep. They are of a species named icefish. In fact, the name is quite suggestive, isn't it? Well, in each little year, there is an adult fish in its center, taking care of the light blue eggs. This is another proof of life under the ice. Even in places like this, there are far fewer species than in the open sea with warmer temperatures. There's a detail about the continent that is shared practically by the entire scientific community. Antarctica is a continent that has been covered in ice for billions of years, but it hasn't always been this way. Scientists believe that the ice layers began to form around 34 million years ago, at the end of the Eocene period, when the weather started to allow the formation and flow of glaciers.
special tactics and rescue.
Sailboats carved valleys that had already been worn down by the river flow, changing the topography. New research found that the ice layers of Antarctica were formed tens of millions of years ago against a backbone of Alps-like mountains during a period of significant climate changes. It's not by chance that beneath all that ice, there's an entire world to be discovered. In 2009, for example, a mountain range hidden by snow was discovered, which was given the strange name of Kambutsavers. It is a mountain range with peaks exceeding 2,500 meters in altitude, completely covered in snow. In fact, the discovery of the site was made by a team of Russian researchers more than 50 years ago. However, lacking more suitable equipment, they couldn't reach the spot. And then a team from Columbia University in New York arrived. New research has revealed
The outline
the
of the
mountains is rougher than believed, and that they are grouped in a linear way, unlike what was thought. The linear formation is important because it indicates the possible origin of the mountains, whose existence puzzles scientists since the mountain range was discovered. One of the team members, the scientist Michael Studinger, said that the linear structure makes the Gambuka race comparable to the Appalachian Mountains. The team believes this chain was formed a few thousand years ago, and for several thousand more years, because of the collision of tectonic plates at the time when the planet was still undergoing changes. More severe until it reaches the stage known by humanity, the one we have today. According to studies, The entire structure spans an extent of no less than 1,200 kilometers. And some places, especially valleys, might be under 2.5 miles of ice. Now you might be asking me, how do researchers see so well?
Something that's wolf here.
Meters below the surface. Simple, specific radars. In this case, a device called LiDAR, acronym for light detection and rendering, which means detection and light range. It is capable not only of detecting underground structures, but also of analyzing and pointing out their size. And the Russians? If they could have made contact with the LiDAR back in 1958, without a doubt, they would have made one of the most intriguing discoveries in the mid-20th century. Either way, until the Russians reached the place, it was believed that the entire surface of Antarctica was relatively flat. The Russian discovery, especially at that time, surprised everyone. It was discovered in parallel to this. That's why Antarctica, once upon a time, was a world full of life and with lush nature. But the mysteries of the planet's coldest continent don't stop there, you see. The giants of Antarctica, for the most part, are difficult to access, if not impossible. So scientists must tell more with technology than with personal experience. That is, going to places discovered by satellites. And speaking of satellites again, a few years ago, an image was captured.
Nothing from Earth's orbit.
It appeared to show a structure similar to the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. The image, of course, raised questions from all fields, not just the scientific one. It sparked the wildest theories about ancient civilizations, aliens, and secret societies. Being Antarctica, one of the most inhospitable places on Earth, finding such a structure seemed almost supernatural. One theory suggested that the pyramid belonged to a lost civilization that existed before, from a great flood, about 10,000 years ago, when Antarctica, it was supposedly warmer and more welcoming. Another speculation, even amusing, involved the Illuminati, a secret society often linked to various conspiracy theories, such as if the place could be a headquarters for the society's secret meetings. So, before diving into the realm of fantastic possibilities, it's crucial to consider the scientific evidence and analysis of experts. Researchers have already found evidence of plant life in Antarctica, knowing that millions of years ago, the continent could have supported a rainforest. With average temperatures throughout Brazil, around 12 degrees Celsius. Although this happened thousands of years ago, it suggests it's in the afternoon of... It wasn't always a frozen continent, making the idea of ancient human activity a bit more plausible. However, instead of attributing the pyramid to human or extraterrestrial influence, the researchers prefer to provide a very simple explanation, much more practical. United Kingdom. A geology professor from the University of California explained that the structure resembling a pyramid is, in fact, a mountain, tiny pyramid, final, naturally created by the convergence of glaciers on the sides of an existing landmass. This geological phenomenon can produce peaks.
Mountains shaped like
Pyramidal, but
But not-
indicator of human construction. In 2016, one of the satellites, NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, a huge object hidden beneath the Antarctic ice. The Seoul newspaper reports an enormous and mysterious anomaly seems to be lurking over the frozen remains of an area called Wilkes Land. It stretches over a distance of 151 miles and reaches depths of about 2,782 feet in certain places. Some researchers believe it is the king, about a truly massive asteroid that was more than twice the size of the space rock. Welcome, friend, that supposedly wiped out the dinosaurs. If this explanation holds true, it could mean that this killer asteroid caused the extinction event, the Permian-Triassic, which killed 96% of Earth's marine creatures and up to 70% of vertebrate organisms that lived on land. However, the wildest minds on the internet have created their own theories, with some conspiracy theorists claiming it could be a massive UFO base or a portal to the mysterious underground world called Hollow Earth. If you've never heard about this theory, it states that beneath our surface, where we live, we see far below, there is a completely different world with huge trees, also gigantic animals, its own sky, its own seas and rivers, and so on. It's a theory that's quite hard to grasp and accept. Regarding the structure that caught the attention of some researchers, and even a mega entrepreneur and investor, Elon Musk, it's something that indeed raises more questions than answers. To begin with, the object is very large. However, as the 1 kilometer long structure was buried under a thick layer of ice. At the time of its discovery, the conclusion was initially trivial and hardly spectacular. It's simply an iceberg. End of story. However, shortly after, a new analysis of the structure showed that there is something no one expected. It was moving. Moreover, much of the ice sheet covering it was removed. But how so? Scientists saw that the object initially thought to be an iceberg showed marks similar to skating and various grooves etched on its surface, along with a dark hue, raising questions about its origin and purpose. The question was raised whether the team funded by Musk had seen an ancient ship, which must have been trapped in the ice and only now would have freed itself. But what ancient ship would be 1 kilometer long? As far as is known, none. Scientists have also ruled it out.
Possibly about
The tiny meteorite, as some have suggested, that size to start with, would have simply destroyed, covering at least 1/3 of the planet. It is nearly impossible to imagine that a piece of 1,000 meters would have remained after the impact. The peculiar shape of that complement the denial, since it does not have characteristics similar to a meteorite.
So,
What else could it be? Conspiracy theorists came into play, suggesting it was a very well camouflaged alien base to resemble a huge mountain, the place which can be located on Google, using the coordinates now shown on your screen. It's hard to reach, and so until now, a more detailed study of the object hasn't been possible. And as mentioned before, the constant changes in the landscape due to the movement of snow and ice make it even more challenging. Possible research in mud, the owner of the 3rd phase of the Moon Channel, Blake Cousins,
10 and
thoroughly analyzed the images that have been observed for some time from the place. Calculate. No Google, though. According to him,
Like never before.
I've never seen anything like it before. It could be an ancient alien city. He claimed that there was even a kind of landing strip at the site, but it was covered by ice over the years. According to Cousins' observations, each point has its own entrance, like a kind of tunnel. Maybe there's an underground city beneath.
Be amazed.
So,
you
Until
understand
now
the government?
considered official, suggesting the object is 1 kilometer long is at odds with Coulson's measurement. That found twice as much. That is, in other words, 2 kilometers. Enter the Bibi Dojo, whoever calls himself Bibi. He also noticed that several structures were either altered or disappeared. Could this be intentional? If it is indeed used by an unknown civilization, the fact is, as long as they can't get to the place, nothing can really be affirmed. For now, these are just various conjectures, but who knows in a short time? Time we may not have the technology to safely